All right. There we go. Good evening, folks. Just mixing some Payne's gray to get to our underpainting. That looks about right. Like that. All right. Hey, Mark. Good to see you, man. Although I did just see you this weekend. Hope the rest of the show was good for you and Aviva and everybody, the whole family. Starting off with just a Payne's gray, real basic underpainting color. Let me make sure I got everything set up. Yep. Looks like we got everything. We're gonna try to finish this tonight, as we always do, but gotta see how we do, how things come together. This is just a basic. Andrew, oh, thank you so much. Yeah, the first one was, it was a little nerve-wracking to put it out there, but I'm glad you liked it. And second issue, I was working on a page today. I can show you that real quick. And there's the next page I'm working on. Yeah, thanks for swinging by the booth and checking the things out. Were you able to get one of those free prints? Did you grab one? I think I had like one or two left. Sweet, good. Yeah. During the craziness of the convention, I forget who I pointed them out to and who I didn't. That's a good thing. It was super busy like all weekend, so even Sunday. For a Sunday, that was pretty busy, I gotta say. It winds down in the afternoon, but that's generally how most conventions go. Yeah, this is just that Payne's gray. Tonight I used the Grumbacher. It's got a little more blue to it. Yeah, the Academy. It's good stuff. It's not quite as neutral. It's got more of a cool finish to it. And you can work with it, and it'll work well underneath the red as we put that in here. Spidey's got those primary colors going for him, like most superheroes. With good. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Stand-up comedian, yes. I remember. As people that have seen my watercolors know, like the underpainting tends to disappear pretty quickly as we get our tonalities going. This is just to really give it more of a depth to the colors. Um, don't want it to overpower what's coming, as we put the finishing colors on here. And what really it does is it gives you your first levels of tonality. You can always go and add more and take stuff away. And um, I showed a different couple of techniques the last go around where we added, just because we used a smooth Bristol instead of a watercolor paper, you can add water and just use a sponge to pull it off, pull the color off. Yeah, but it was a good show. I mean, you never know how I'm gonna do at a show with like that, with that many celebrities. But in some ways we talked about it amongst the other artists that it may have actually helped us that there were fewer artists, like there was not as many folks there. So you know, yeah, it just takes practice, and there are actual techniques that you can learn to do different things and create different effects. And you do a lot more with color layering than people realize. I mean, oil painting is obvious. You go in with some terpenoid, and you work with like a gel medium or something, or some linseed oil to really mess with the different textures and drying times and stuff. But you can really go in with, especially depending on the paper you choose. The paper choice really does affect like the different ways you can manipulate the colors. And you'll see we'll do a cool underpainting with this Payne's gray, and then we'll come back in with some some yellow, some sun yellow. Because what I'm going to do is, because Spider-Man is mostly red and blue, I'm going to have a green, like an olive green and gold background as it bleeds together. So that's the plan. We're going to see how it comes together. Hey, Desiree. I checked my PMs. You mentioned that I did not see a new message in there, and I did not get one. So I don't know. Maybe was it on this, or was it an email that you sent? You mentioned there was a message I missed. I did look for it. So yeah, we got our light source is obviously off to the left here. So we're sort of working with that in mind. And we can come in, and anytime we want to soften an edge, we just add a little water. You can go back in and work it. You can work those edges. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was like, what did I miss? I don't know. How many people we got quite a few people here tonight, so welcome aboard. One of the cool things about at Rhode Island Comic Con, I met some folks that self-identified as some of the lurkers on the stream, and that was pretty neat. Some folks that knew the term. I wasn't trying to be insulting. It was just a way to be like, hey, there's more people here than folks might realize. Had a lot of people tell me they'll watch it on repeat. Hey Brian, thanks again for coming to hang out at the show. It's good seeing you and your fam. and I'm looking for a basic tutorial for you for what we had discussed with like laying flats and coloring and stuff. I'm just trying to find one that explains it as succinctly because so many of them get lost in the weeds where it's unnecessarily complicated. Pretty much, you can just use the pencil tool, go around all of the different channels, and just use the paint bucket tool to fill it in. Hey, Jonathan. Thanks again for your help at the show. Hanging out. I will say, and pretty much every artist in Artist Alley is in agreement. The 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. for VIPs in the morning turn, we do not enjoy that. My friend Pat Broderick and his wife, they're a little older now, and that 12-hour turn, it's tough. You finish a day at 9 p.m. and then you got to be up and ready to go and back to work at 9 a.m. It's tough. It's tough for me. I'm, not quite half their age, but considerably younger. Excellent. I know you've seen some of this stuff, but I'll show off some of the acquisitions. This is pretty cool. This is my big birthday present to myself. Birthday's next week. We got this Rick Lenardi sketch cover, which I'm very excited about. Providence 2022. Oh yeah, got that. Hopped on his list as soon as he opened it up Friday. And I asked him, if he wanted to draw like headshots. I'll usually get like Colossus or somebody really identifiable instead of just angry guy with long hair like Conan. But I asked him which he'd rather draw, and he said he'd rather draw Conan than Colossus. So I was not going to get in the way of that. I actually don't think we need any blue there. I think all we need is some yellow. No, in that case, you got one. I think you must have gotten one of the newer prints. There was a point where my printer, initially they were all printed on matte paper, and that was really just a product of the. I had a choice of either not getting my books in time or being okay with them using a gloss paper. I'm not a big fan of gloss. I love a matte finish on my comics, but that was just a case where which was more important, having the books with the content or having it exactly how I wanted. So I relented, and they had gloss paper readily available, and I was able to get the delivery in time for what I needed instead of waiting. But yeah, that's what happened, and like those were digitally printed. So a digitally printed comic on gloss paper, it sits on top of the paper, so it tends to create like a different line. Yeah. I'm using a whole bunch of different stuff. I'll use Grumbacher, I'll use Academy, I'll use the Cotman stuff, whatever's on sale, and because if you know how to use it and you study the different colors, the pigments tend to uh, blend better. In this case, right now I'm using just a Payne's gray. Yeah, this is just the beginning. This is just my underpainting because that's how I was trained to roll. I'm not sure if I have enough pigment in here. I'll add a little bit more. Go a little darker. And just like last time, I'll mute the microphone when I need to use my hair dryer. And for this sort of thing, I do paint the figure first, which is a little counterintuitive. You would think you would go for the larger areas, but because I'm using like a smooth Bristol, it's always causes the paper to warp, which you know, I have a few different techniques which pull the warp out of the paper. One of them being using a fixative, and then the other being obviously just pile it under some books. Um, I saw some people at the convention actually using the cakes, the dried watercolors. I've always preferred straight up the tube watercolors. You can control the amount of pigment a little bit better, and I find them to be more forgiving. But right now, just really filling in some of the obvious shadow areas, making sure we get some of our tonality down before we start worrying about our color, our hues. That's what happens when you don't wait. I'm also not good at like what do they call it? The straight hand technique where you have it like this with your coming down from above. I don't remember the name of that technique at all. We want to make sure you can see we have that little break there. Don't want to overdo it, not too many shadows, just enough so that we define the shapes. Do I remember the AS pilot that didn't get picked up? Korgoth of Barbarian. No, I don't. I don't. No, I do not. Not even sure what that one is. Sorry, man. All right, yeah, I'll check it out. That underneath just a little bit, so it gives it a little dimension. It's right along the edge there. I think that's a definition for most things. It's online somewhere. Hell, somebody told me there was a pirated copy of Helena on a website or something. I was like, sure, why not? I post the pages one at a time for free, so if somebody wants to just collect them or whatever, I guess there's nothing I can do about it. Pull the edges together a little bit. All right, get the trusty old hair dryer going. A gigantic watermark of my face. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see my face. Anything. Forgot to plug this thing in. I actually have like one of those high yield outdoor extension cords for it. All right, I'm gonna mute the microphone for a sec here. I just saw that comment, Desiree. That's crazy. There's a car chase in front of your place. I know you mentioned your car was in the shop. Stay safe. Don't be one of those crazy onlookers out there. Adding just a touch of yellow on what will be the edge of the actual white areas. Jeez, that's nuts, Desiree. Well, stay safe. Now, this was a point where I used to just throw paint around a little bit, but I've kind of gotten more restrained with the warm patches. I don't think we need any phthalo blue. I mean, I've got some cobalt that I'll be using and a little bit of cerulean. I tend to mix my blues a little bit for Spidey. Um, and I'll probably throw just a touch of that Payne's gray in there too to soften it, because we really want that red to pop. Like that's what I'm trying to get when we do the background in the olive green. So big fan of like burnt sienna and raw umber, the earth tones. But in this case, we're doing like a brightly colored superhero who has like these really intense reds and stuff. And what I want to do is just try to accentuate that and play off of it with just a little bit of cool shadow. Most people don't even notice the underpainting, although I would say because that's good. I'm glad your doors are shut and locked. The Donatello actually that I did on the stream last week was the first painting to go, and that one was heavily reliant on the underpainting technique I use. But again, like, I don't think anybody's gonna notice. Like, that's the idea. You want it to just be like, wow, those colors are bright, instead of like, oh, you can see the underpainting. But yeah, that's the idea. I generally start like if I'm doing a full-on painting, like an oil painting or something with just straight earth tones as my underpainting. I start with like a vine chalk and then, or a vine charcoal, and then I go from that to like yellow ochre and some umber. Start playing around with tones that way and shape, really establishing those light sources. Rhode Island, like I was starting to say earlier, it was great. The and my favorite thing continues to be the making comics panel, which we had basically a full room. We had just under 50 people. There was just tons of people there, tons of young creators asking lots of questions. And they came down to the booth afterwards. We were talking shop. It was really great. And I would say that, compared to like I was also on the Ninja Turtles panel that was there, um, which had decent turnout, but not as good as the making comics panel. It's special all the time, and it's yeah, it's a really good thing that I hope I get to continue to do at conventions. And I believe it was recorded. I don't know. See, and this is something I've tried to work with RICC on. They have a tendency to not do anything with the footage because a lot of the time with like those celebrity panels, they'll say something that they can't put online, or they'll put something out there that they don't want, the masses getting a hold of. Like a few years ago, I think that was Sebastian Stan that gave a spoiler at Rhode Island that he wasn't supposed to, and they couldn't put the panel up. And there was another year where somebody else gave a spoiler. I don't know if it was Walking Dead, but it happened a couple of times, and since then it's just been like overly cautious with the material. And Craig and I, I don't think we gave up anything secret. And if I could, if they're not going to do anything with it, I'm going to ask them to let me put it on my YouTube channel, because it was great. We had people asking specifics about comics formatting, like drawing ideas, writing process. I think I had to. There were people taking notes. It was really nice. I had a great time. I also got some books signed. I'll show the other piece of art I got. I'm not a wealthy guy, so I can't buy like splash pages, or even panel pages are tough unless I find a deal. But Howard Chaykin always has like these panels from his current books. It was only $35, and this is from Hey Kids Comics. This is his Gil Kane character just coming back, and I really like this. Just the three artists talking. I think this is supposed to be Carmine Infantino. I'm not sure who this is, whether it's Maurice Severin or another person at the offices, but yeah, or Ramona Fraden. But yeah, $35. I was able to get a piece of original published comic art by a guy who, you know, has done it all. All right, we've got our underpainting. You can see the yellow. It's not too. Oh, you got one too, Mark? Sweet. I mean, he had pages there. He actually had a blade page for $100 that, if I had the money, I would have bought because it was, you got it's the Guggenheim story that he did with Howard, Mark Guggenheim, and Blade's going to be coming back into the movies, and they're doing all this stuff with the character and everything else, and that was a really good read. Like on top of it all, like that miniseries was short. I think I was the only person at my store that was buying it, and it was good. I also had the pleasure of being at Howard's table when those yelling goats were going by. The people who were dressed up as the goats from Thor and decided it would be cute to yell. Yeah, he had like 3 blade pages, and they were the full size sequential ones. So they were like $100 a piece, which that's a steal. I just didn't have the $100. I actually bought a Power and Glory page from him the last time he was at Rhode Island. That was my big pickup the last time he was at Rhode Island. I'm just using a syringe to move the water quicker. It's a lot easier this way. Yeah, they were yelling in a very loud and obnoxious way all around the convention, to the point where they were eventually, I believe, they were confronted by show staff and told not to do that anymore. And Howard definitely let them know that he was not pleased with their behavior. Um, no one was. No one was enjoying their antics. They were just walking. It was 2 college kids and their dad or an older person. Just, I understand they were in character, and it's there's a difference when you're just being in character and when you're yelling to the point where people can't do business. And yeah, it was a little much. It's a little much. Right now, I'm mixing some Alzurian crimson and cadmium red to get that nice electric tough red for Spidey here. And I have some cab yellow here, so we might add a touch of that just so that we get a little bit of extra pop, because we can always add more red and cover up the yellow. But if we can get a little bit of extra oomph from just a touch of cadmium yellow, that would be great. Yeah, I think that will do nicely. No, yeah, they were doing it for a very long time. I would say it's the second most annoying thing I've had to deal with at a convention too. There was a gentleman at New York Comic Con who thought it would be cute during the lunch rush to hold up an entire line waiting at a restaurant stand, and it was the health food stand at New York Comic Con. It's the one that's not like, as overrun. It's like one of the secrets there. If you go to the healthy food stand, it's not as busy. Um, Decided to do a shtick about ordering chimichangas, and it went on for far too long. Yeah, no one was amused. I felt bad for the people just trying to do their jobs behind the counter. And this person was just like, "You're gonna treat me like I'm Deadpool because I said so." Like, okay, man. We just want to get our salads and go back to work. As you can see, as we go over the underpainting, it gives us some dimension. You can see where the Payne's gray cools off the red, even as we layer in more red. Yes, you are very fortunate you missed that. Like, there's a guy at Rhode Island Comic Con every year who comes in character as the Joker, and he tries to, like, it's gotten to where I don't engage with him when he comes up to the booth because he tries to pay for it with a playing card. Yeah, it's a cute costume. I get it, but yelling the whole con floor just up and down the aisleways, it's a little much. A little much. Yeah, Joker guy fake buying things to pay for him with a playing card. That was yeah. Hey Jason, good to see you, man. Hanging in there. How are things in your neck of the woods? Or your side of the internet, as I like to say. I heard that. I heard it was picking up steam. My buddy Pat Broderick just got back down to Florida, and he posted about being back just in time for another storm. So I hope you're safe. I hope everyone gets through okay. Oh, one thing I did not post about Rhode Island. I do charge for witness signatures, and I collect money for a local food bank. And it's not a lot, but I'll be donating $20 raised from the show, and I'll match it so that it's $40 will be donated to the Greater Boston Food Bank. I'll make sure I get that done tomorrow. Some shows I get more witness signatures, but Rhode Island Comic Con, it's not as many at Rhode Island Comic Con. Yeah, I don't charge for raw signatures, but witness signatures, I feel like since, the grading company's making money, and I feel like they should be donating, but I understand it's a business, and I have an opportunity to make the situation a little better. So I also I drive past one of the food banks on my way to the bank, like Money Bank on Saturday mornings, and lines around the block. So people are hungry, and I don't like that people don't have enough food. So, and the Greater Boston Food Bank is a fantastic charity. They have excellent ratings, so I'm always happy to donate to them. Yeah, it's more of a celebrity con. It just is. They had like over 100 celebrities this go round, and not a ton of artists. But in a way, I do think that helped us as artists. With the people that were there, it was. I think it helped us sell a little more, not quite as competitive as like sometimes it can be tough when you have all of the best artists in the industry in one show. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, I had a pretty good weekend. I'm not gonna knock it. It was for me, it was a good weekend sales wise. I had some things, I tried to cast a wide net. I tried to have sketch covers and pre-done watercolors and plenty of books, and I noticed that mostly it was like for me, I didn't have any like super expensive pieces of art sell, but I had a lot of little stuff, a lot of books, people trying out indie books, which you know I love that. I'm talking to my buddy Joe St. Pierre, who was crashing at my place during the show. He was selling lots of books too. So if people are trying out indie books, I'm all for it. I've had some of those shows where I sell one or two big items and that's it, and not many books sell. So like, I don't know if it's a sign of the economy or anything that it's like mid-sized sales or what, but it was not a bad sales weekend at all. And I had wonderful people who support me come and do that. You know, some folks from the stream. Like I said, I had some of the stream uh, lurkers come up to my booth and say like, "Hi, I never say anything, but I'm one of the lurkers," which was endlessly entertaining and lovely to hear that there are people that I don't even know about that are watching the streams. Hello to anyone who just wants to watch in the background or whatever. You're welcome to just chill. No pressure. Hey Adam, thanks. Hope you're doing well, man. Yeah, I started this at Rhode Island because there was a point where I didn't have anybody on my list. So, it's always nice to be working on something. People can see what you do. I feel like I intimidate folks if I stand up and don't work on something. So I want to have, I don't know, there's something about me being taller than a lot of folks that I don't want to intimidate people at my booth by standing up. Some people have standing desks and they like that. And I do like, I'm standing up right now working on this. Oh, the Thanos. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I did that one at the show. Um, I always liked those cosmic characters. That Warlock in the Infinity Watch book was very important to me getting into reading comics and being a regular reader. No, I still got some tick covers. I'm going to be doing a web update probably this weekend. Um, like I said in the description of the video, I'm opening 4 slots. One I promised to a person. It was going to be 5, but I did promise one to someone who's here regularly. So, and he's been very patient. I'm not opening just random list. The list is too intimidating, so I'm going to open a handful. The blepping tip, actually, it was that one. Maybe Brian, he's in the chat. Maybe he'll sell it to you. He picked it up. Um, I have the other watercolors though, and I can post those. I don't think any of the other watercolors sold. And I understand they're not cheap. $70 is not a small purchase. I'll probably just put it in my store. Nobody ordered it. I started it and I wanted something a little easier to work on this first stream back. And I met a ton of new people, and I'm hoping that we got a bunch of people in the stream tonight. So I got to say, we probably have some new folks from the convention this weekend popping in. I want to have something colorful and hopefully pretty when we're done, that they can watch come together and get finished. Sometimes when I start from scratch, I don't feel like I get enough done. I just get too tired. But I've started drinking tea before these because the unanimous criticism, I would say, was that I do need to be a little more chatty, and that people like the chattier um, streaming sessions. You've actually met Brian at San Diego. You guys definitely met. She's a press uh, member of the comics press and one of Bob's friends. So both two very nice people. So now you can see where the red and the Payne's gray meet, and they create this nice rich purple. You see that? That's what I like. When you go red over Payne's gray, you get that nice purple. And when it dries, it's even better. But yeah, I'll do a store update with stuff that didn't sell. Some of it I was surprised. Especially since I had some smaller pieces, I was like, "Oh, these will definitely go," and then they didn't go, but then other pieces that were older sold, so, like I said, at that show, sometimes I have no idea. So I try to cast that wide net, and like Jason pointed out, it is more of a celebrity-centric show, so I wanted to have stuff that people would recognize. Um, and the free prints did very well, and it got people interested, and almost everybody wanted to check out the book, that picked up the free print. We had very few people just grab the free print and run, and that's the whole idea. I want people to check out the book. Oh, thank you, Adam. Yeah, and I've been just getting ready to really hit the gas on finishing the next Helena book and then Undersea Hero, get that cranking. And I booked a couple more tables, so I'll be doing some more shows. A couple in New England, a couple outside of New England. One down, my first one in a state down south. That'll be great. Um, yeah, I'm really trying to get it out there. Yep. Yeah, Jason. It's tough. It's a tough show because it is a celebrity show. Um, Florida, I have not booked anything yet, but I do have a couple of shows that I have emailed. It's when a show's that far, I do ask that they help me out in some way. I'm not asking for the show to pick up my whole ride, but I need either a little bit of help on the travel or the hotel. At least give me the space. Um, And I've had people assure me that the ones I emailed are like, "Oh, they're money-making shows, blah, blah, blah," but, we'll see. Tampa Bay, yeah, yeah. Is that the one? I think that's the one that Pat told me to email. Was it? I don't remember. There's so many shows, I get confused very easily, especially since I gotta do all the booking myself. It's where people are like, "I need an assistant. I barely can draw these things, let alone do all the bookings." See that nice orange from the yellow that we get just naturally from coming back over with the translucent paint? Come back with just a little bit, just on that edge, give it some dimension. Megacon. Is that one? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, so many artists, even artists with fewer credentials than I, have like a fee, and they will require, booth covered, hotel, food, all that stuff. Um, I'm willing to usually bet on myself because I do pretty well at shows outside of New England. I've never to date had a big stinker. Gabe, we got another tick artist in the house right here. He's gone on to do a zillion other things, movies and TV, and gone on to be Mr. Dad too, which is pretty sweet. Hope you and Carrie are doing well, man. Thanks for popping in. Hopefully, I'll see you guys next year. We're all fans of Gabe's. Everybody here's a Gabe Crate fan, I think. Maybe someday I'll get him to draw one of my characters for a book. If he ever gets five minutes free. Gabe was one of the artists on the Tick when I was really just reading everything. And then he also did the digital comic, the online Tick comic, which to my it was my first or second awareness of any digital comics. So you get these nice little bits here of like just a little yellow peeking through on some of the edges where the light comes through, and you get some orange, and you get the blues. And that's what I try to really accentuate with the colors. I like having that dimension. My buddy Al was, yep, it does make it shiny. Although I do usually hit this with a matte finish with the matte spray. And that's one of the tricks to flattening it out. After you'll see when I do this background that it'll get a little warped, especially being on a 9 by 12 sheet. Just get a little water in here on this part, and then we'll just get a nice soft pink in there. And some of this is hard to see just on camera because I look up at the TV here. That's the screen monitor, and I see that there's a brownness to it, but I can promise you when you see this in person, it's red, man. I'll just take some water. There we go. Let's see if we need some extra red. Oh, thanks, Jason. Some spots that need a little more. And this is just a number 4 round brush. It's one of my favorite size brushes. I think you can do pretty much anything in a painting with it. I don't use a lot of shaders, those wedge-shaped brushes. I just use a lot of round brushes and sponges and weird little knickknacks. But when it comes to all right, while we're letting that dry, we'll mix ourselves some blue. Let's use our palette here where we have some blue pre-mixed, but we can add some extra tone to it. I think that's a little too blue for what we're doing, so we're going to come over here and we're going to grab just a little bit of Payne's Gray. See that nice little ribbon it puts in there. Hey, Jonathan. Hey, man, I'll catch you later. Thanks for popping in. And thanks again for the help this weekend. I'm going to start over here so I can at least get my feet moving with the blue. I don't draw Spider-Man all that much because I honestly was never the biggest Spider-Man guy. But like when I was a kid, Spider-Man was going through like the Clone Saga and all that stuff, and it took me a few years into my reading to find the earlier issues because they were expensive, and Marvel started printing those essentials, those really wonderful like $20 black and white trades, and that was where got it. Like I was like, oh, okay, this is the character. Because he had changed a lot by the time I had read even a single issue. Now you might be asking yourself, why would you put the blue paint over the black ink? And the answer is because it actually goes on top of the ink, and it will give the ink a slight blue sheen to it. And it'll just make it a little bit more harmonious overall. And you don't want the tone to build up on that edge. Just a very thin line. You want to keep the white just real thin right there. Usually on this side, we'll fill it in because our light's over here. There was a booth selling sketch covers for like $1 a piece, so I was able to get a nice small stack of new sketch covers. Deathlock, The Shadow, John Carter, Flash Gordon, Infinity for $1 a piece. Used to read the comics in the newspaper. It took a while to start reading the comic books. Yeah, and the comics in the newspaper just came straight to your house, so why wouldn't you? I was actually working on the webbing on this with Joe St. Pierre in the house. He's drawn enough Spider-Man, and I asked him like what the trick with the webbing was, and he basically said like whatever looks good. Which I was like, come on, Joe, help me out. So he actually gave me some pointers. So that was nice of him. I got plenty, Jason. Unless you want me to draw on one for you, I think I'm pretty good. I was able to get that nice little stack there, and I've still got some in a short box that my buddy Jonathan, who just had to head out, gave to me. I still owe him a Shazam sketch cover, which I will put on the docket for this week. He's gone, so I can talk about it. If you got The only thing I would say is that if you have any of characters that I've worked on, those are the only ones that I'm like always actively shopping for. So if you had like a Ninja Turtles or something like that, those I'll always buy because they're getting harder to find because I don't know when the last time they made one was. I still keep buying the most cost efficient one I keep finding is the TMNT Batman one, and the quality of that sketch cover is not great. It's not one of IDW's better ones. A year ago, you decided to only get trade paperbacks, but every single thing gave him. I've always been a single issue guy, but when it came to, especially at that time, those Silver Age Spider-Mans, like they've always been expensive. So, and also it was good because I got to see the line art, just as it was raw, because it's in black and white, which was nice. You don't have to go to any extra effort. If you're ever around there, man, great. But like, don't sweat it. It's okay. Take care of yourself with everything that's going on down in Florida right now, man. The storm. Yeah, and you can't really see it in the camera, but the blue on top of the black, there's just a tiny faint little screen of blue. Sketch covers do take up space. I actually found them difficult to display for selling purposes, but I put some on nice little stands, and then I put some in the box, the marked comics I've worked on. I actually think this is supposed to be red here, this line. I think I messed it up. Well, we're going to see if we can save it. And I think we can, because it's early enough where we can add water, just clear water. Oops, got a little blob here. Pull it up. Let me just take a look here. Yep, I definitely missed a spot. How about that? Well, we're gonna see if we can save it. And everyone that's on the stream, all, dozen people or so. I just use a piece of Bristol paper for that, Jason. I don't use anything fancy. I just cut it to the size that I need and then put it in that way. All right, you saw how I pulled that watercolor out, or at least I tried to. We'll see if we're able to really get this thing to work. I've got to put that yellow in, and then I have to come back in with just a little bit of Payne's Gray again. All right. We saved our Payne's Gray, so we should be able to pull this. I think we can pull this off. But again, if we can't, you know, this was just done for me to practice on, so let's see if we can pull it off. Because this should be webbing, this line here. At least I think it should be. Let me take a look again. Yeah, it definitely should be, with how thick the back is. Yep. Actually, Brian, you asked, like, do you ever make mistakes on the live stream? Here's one. Here's a good one for the record books. We're going to add a little bit of Payne's Gray there. Come back in. We're going to dry it, and then we're going to see if we can pull it back and put red over it and see if anybody notices when we put it up to the light. And then we're going to have to go back in and draw those web bits. Because, yeah, like right along here, this is supposed to be the edge. You see where I have the spotted black right there? This is supposed to be the blue side over here. Just a mistake. We'll see if we can save it. And then I'll go back in after it's dry and add the web lines. All right, let's see if we can pull this off. I don't know. See, and this is a case where if it were oil paints, we'd just take a little turpenoid and pull that sucker out and it wouldn't matter. No one would ever know. There we go. Maybe we pulled it off, maybe we didn't. We'll see when it dries, if it really sticks out. And then we'll go back in and we'll add those few pieces of webbing that are missing. Just a little bit more red, just in case. There we go. We'll see if that does it. We'll let that dry. We'll go back to working on our blue over here. Oops. I think we need to pull it down just a little bit. Now that I'm looking at it. There we go. Okay. Oh, thank you. We'll try not to ruin it on the arms too. I want to get that same effect where it has some tonality, a little dimension. The toughest thing to keep in mind, I think, with watercolor is that the paper itself is one of the colors that you're using. Oh, got a little red bleed. A little overzealous. From Nate Lovett. We got a We're gonna highlight that. Look at that. It just says Yeah. Yeah, I figured. Nate giving me the For those of you who don't know, Nate Lovett's a terrific artist in his own right. Done books like Marvel Comics presents. He's got a new book coming out for the Dungeons and Dragons Golden Book. So if you got any wee ones, you'll see that at the grocery store soon, I believe. At least we still have a grocery store rack of the Golden Books at our grocery store. Yeah, Nate inked Ray Height on, is it issue 4, Nate, of Marvel Comics Presents, issue 3 or 4? It's in there somewhere. It's in that more recent run. Got all these Spider-Man artists running around, checking over, looking over my shoulder, telling me like, "What is that? That's not Spider-Man." Don't worry, Marvel's not paying me to mess up your version of Spider-Man. This is just for laughs. There's 3 or 4, somewhere in there. 3. You would know. All right. Well, I think we'll soon be able to start working on the background, which that'll be fun. Let me get the old hair dryer going. I gotta mute the microphone again. All right, I noticed one little spot of blue that I missed. Just a touch of water. It's gonna be right here. It's so small. No, I had to buy my own, believe me. All right, we gotta mix ourselves a nice batch of olive green here. It's gonna be olive green and like a gold color is what we want in the background. You see those light bits of yellow like right on the edge? We really want to pull those out. I don't want to go with green because obviously it's the complementary to red. So we'll try to come up with some nice tones. Sometimes I do an underpainting for the background, sometimes I don't. It just depends if there are objects. If it's really just a tone background, something like that, I don't generally underpaint that because it can get muddy, and you want there to be a difference in value between your foreground and your background elements. It's really a good way when you're doing color to pick out the things that you want the viewer to notice most. If you have just washes on your background and then you add the underpainting to the midground elements, or if there's like a forest, you can use underpainting as that. Jeez, that's crazy, Desiree. Okay, we want to get it to an olive tone. So the way you get to an olive tone, let's darken it with a touch of the Payne's gray, soften it, and then we want just a touch of the cad yellow. Not sure if this is going to be enough paint. I'm actually going to get some burnt sienna, just a little bit of brown. It'll soften it up. Just a tiny bit. It's a way of adding less red, because if you add red, it's going to neutralize it because they are complementary. Okay, now we also need like a dark green. So I'm actually just going to mix it straight in there. Oh, thanks, Desiree. It's years of training, and this is actually one of the things I was trained to do. So, not coloring superheroes, but watercolors in general. You might need some umber to darken it some. This is where knowing how to mix colors really comes in handy, and there are tons of great YouTube videos. I should find one just to post with the watercolor videos, because mixing colors is hard, and it takes learning from people who were taught how colors work. It's you can go in willy-nilly, but it just it really helps having some answers. Look at that nice, beautiful olive green. That's what we want. Yeah, just a touch more Payne's gray so that it matches. But that's what we want. And we're going to have the olive green with like a patch of gold behind Spidey. And hopefully we'll be able to get them to bleed together in a way that looks nice. And that takes a bleak ton of practice. I don't even know if I'm going to pull it off tonight, but we're gonna try. Because like if you look at that Donatello piece compared to the Leo piece, the Donatello had a much nicer background, and it was just from practice, I think. Let's get our cad yellow. Normally I pre-mix all my paints before these things, and I just didn't have time. Get a little bit of the lemon yellow, cad yellow. You know what would look nice on the edges of this? Some yellow ochre. We've got some ochre here somewhere. Yeah, a nice yellow ochre, the Winsor Newton. Let's see if we got room over here for a nice yellow ochre patch. I think we can drop it right here. You can see that's got like a nice brown mustard quality to it. Let's just drop that stuff right in here. See, when you don't have enough water, it gets that quality of like a gouache, and you can paint with that. You can get some cool effects with it, like some dry brush technique at the end. It's a nice way to do that. Nice yellow ochre. Look at that. See that? You get that nice dry brush. You can put it on top of stuff. You can go back in and do things with it. More water. Okay, let's see how our CAD yellow looks next to it. It's got a warmth to it. I actually think it does need a little something. We actually might need to add just a touch of red to give it that orange, nice golden glow to it. See how that looks. That's a little better. Mixing colors, man, it can make or break your painting, and it can take a long time. It can take a long time. And then we have our lemon. Let's see how our green looks with it. Oh yeah, this is going to be nice. Let me come in with just a touch of our. This is kind of like a dry run. Oh yeah, look at that. Spicy, as we said last time, spicy. We definitely need a bigger brush for this one, and we need clean water. So I've got an extra jar here. This is mucky water. Need some clean water for. It's just got a little yellow in it, so it'll be okay. Now, compositionally and where the light's coming from, I want there to be the yellow patch kind of behind Spidey occupying, and I'll just use water to like kind of show you, like this little area here, a little beneath the leg, this spot here, and then we'll have it bleed into the green as it comes out. So, let's give it a go. You can't fart around on a big washy background. I'm going to start with our lemon. And you're going to see the paper pitch. You're going to see it really move around. So don't worry, it'll be okay. We're going to. And this is a smooth Bristol, so we can actually have a little bit of play to it. It's not something people expect to hear with Bristol, but it's true. Because we go to a more subtle green. So we've got a nice green that's got like a little bit of plate, like almost a what you call it? What's the right word? It's got more saturation to it. See, I went to the schools. I did the learnings. Let's pull our green around. We need some water on this paper over here. Come in with some more green and let that bleed into the green, and it mixes on the paper. Those tones come together. And that's what we want. We want it to mix on the paper. Or at least that's what I want. Pick up some of this green right here that we don't need. Put that off. Clean our brush. Come back in with just a little more of this nice yellow. Mix it in. Anytime you touch the green, before you go back to the yellow, you want to wipe off the brush before you go back and grab some more. Just let that fall just like that. Okay. Now we're going to clean our brush, clean water, hit it on the paper towel, come back and get some more of this water here. Get some of that lemon. Start with the lemon, and then go from there. Add some of that cad yellow. Start to pull it in. And the reason you need that big brush is because you got to cover a lot of space and you need to bring a lot of water with you. I have not seen that show, Desiree. I'm sorry it took me a minute to look up because it's like I got to keep moving because you don't want it to dry on you. We got a lot of space to cover. I think I have to hit the yellow just a tad, and we have to go back to the lightest yellow, which means we got to clean the brush. We got to come back into there, hit that right there. Okay. Now we've got this nice green that we're building up here, and then we can start to hit it with that olive. Now the olive is thicker, it has way more tone in it, way more hue, way more pigment, so we got to move it around, we got to keep moving. Hit the green in here a little bit more, that middle green, and come down here and hit this even more with that olive. Because once we get down, like the bottom third should be mostly olive, except for this little bit of yellow that's going to come around his back right here. All right. See how soft that is? We can actually come back to that, which is nice. That's one of the nice things about using those heavy tones. You can taper it out a little bit and then come back to it. If Lori's in here, she might have just like been like putting her head against the desk, like, you can't come back to it. I was like, no, we can. We can do it. Bring in just a little of that lemon right like that. And then pull it. Nice and soft. Nice and soft. Soft finish. Get our gold. Nice gold color. And this gold has like touches of red in it. Has that little bit of yellow ochre that we came back with. I might actually come in with some of this yellow ochre right here just to see how we're doing. Yeah, look at that. That looks great. Yellow ochre is a great color. I'm going to put a little bit over here. A little bit of water. Pull some yellow ochre in there. It's a great color. Great for mixing into that green. Pull some more down. Now we can add our green. Oops, a little too close to the edge there. Grab my paper towel, which I always keep handy. And it's a smooth Bristol, so we're still on top of the paper, which is great. Our green in. I don't think I need any of the gold. I think I just need a touch of the yellow ochre underneath here. I think that'll do it. Remember we were talking about having more yellow here? I don't think that's what we need. I think we need just a touch of that ochre. Bring in our olive. And you'll see as it dries, it'll start to pull back. And that hopefully that red will have that nice pop to it. A little too much, a little too close to the red there. Pull it this way. Pull it away. There we go. A little water. Just a touch of our ochre, just right there, just a tiny dot, just a little bit, so that it connects it all the way around them. That yellow. I told you guys, this is like the one thing I'm pretty good at. Some people may not like the choice of the green, but I like it with the red. And I think when it dries and we put the fixative on it, I think it's going to have a nice finish. Pull a little bit of the gold, just a touch. That way it's mixes right there. We want a soft edge. Oh, that's nice of you. I'm good at being on hold with the gym membership company that I canceled in like February, and they were still charging me. I was good at that today too. Um, that was fun. Although I did give him a pretty blunt answer of like, why did I cancel that gym? I actually work out way more now that I don't belong to a gym with my running and at home stuff. I just told they asked me why I canceled my membership, and I just told them I don't want to go there anymore. Get our olive green going. Love that olive green. Let's really get it cooking down at the bottom here. A little water there, got a little dry, so it didn't mix quite how we wanted to, but Smooth Bristol. If you get used to painting on it, it's tough to go back to that toothy watercolor paper. And do you get all the big, like, fancy wash techniques? No, you don't. I wholly admit you do not. But I think you get some nice finish to it. You get rich colors, you get forgivable drawing and painting techniques. I think it's I don't know. I find that like some of the watercolor paper that they sell to students even now, I think is doing them a disservice, especially if you don't know how to handle a brush. I was at the Blick as the students were coming in. I was at the Blick store in Providence, and I saw like they were picking up their lists. You know, they all came in with their first year lists, and they were all picking up like the really toothy watercolor paper, and I don't think it'll help. All right, I'm gonna mute because we're gonna hit the hair dryer. All right, we're getting closer and closer. You can see it gets that nice matte finish. It's got some pop to it, got the nice glowy figure, and then it gets softer and more muted as we go around. I've got to add just a little bit so that we get close to an even edge. So we're going to take this and get just a little bit of our green, add a little water. I think we can just take our brush and come along the edge like this. We can soften that a little bit. right. We're cruising now. Almost stepped on my cadmium red paint. Now we're coming back in, and I'm using just my my pocket brush pen to shore up some of the black lines. I know it doesn't look like much, but when you see it in person, it adds a lot of punch to it, and you get that extra separation. .947. We're cruising right along. Hopefully, we'll be close. We're almost there. We're in the home stretch. So I think I'll stick it out until we're done here. That way, we have a finished piece. Anybody that this is their first stream hanging out, I thank everybody for checking it out. So you get to see something get done on the stream instead of just started. Sorry, I'm a little quieter when I have to try to have I have naturally shaky hands, so I have to really concentrate to not, like, screw it up. The people that have those steady as a rock hands, I've been jealous of my entire life, so it's one of the reasons my style changes sometimes so drastically is I'm looking for new ways to get steady lines, and, sometimes it's just not possible. This just makes the black areas a little richer. Now I can still actually, believe it or not, see where the blue tone is. It's just not quite as pronounced, but it's still there, and it's definitely something that you'll only see if you hold the original. Well, now we can go back and add in those messed up webs that I did. See that, remember, this is where I shorted my line art. The question is, do we shade in the lenses a little bit? I kind of like leaving them white. I kind of do. I think I'm just going to leave them white. So I think we're pretty much pretty well done for the night. I gotta clear now. You can see where I had some ink blast through a little bit, so we'll just add a little touch up right there. Hopefully nobody will notice. And let's use our fancy zoom out lens. There we go. And we just sign this puppy and we can call it a night. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for hanging out. It was a longer, about normal length stream tonight, and yeah, it was fun to work on this. I actually do enjoy doing the watercolors on the stream. It's a little relaxing, and you guys get to see something finished. So, Adam, Desiree, Brian, everybody that's lurking in the background there, thanks for hanging out, and I hope to see you all next Wednesday. Well, actually, next Wednesday, I may have to do a pre-taped show. I don't know yet. I think it'll be either pre-taped or I'm going to have to do it either Tuesday or Thursday because Wednesday is my birthday, and we're going to at least go out to dinner. And I wouldn't be around for doing the stream at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to either figure out if I have to do a pre-tape or if I have to do it either Tuesday or Thursday. I'll let you guys know by Monday. So yeah, thanks everybody, and have a wonderful night. Catch you later.